Welcome to Through the Ice and Beyond, a podcast about resilience, ambition, and transformation. I am Elizabeth Tursunbayeva, a former professional figure skater, journalism student, and a coach, and in this series we dive into the extraordinary journeys of athletes, mentors, and visionaries who have faced and overcome life's toughest challenges. How do we push beyond our limits? How do we transition from the world of intense competition to something entirely new? And what does it really take to thrive not just in sports, but in life? Each episode, I sit down with incredible individuals who have faced adversity, achieved greatness, and discovered their true strengths along the way. Whether you are an athlete, a dreamer, or someone searching for inspiration, this podcast is for you. So let's step onto the ice and beyond. Welcome to the very first episode of Through the Ice and Beyond. I'm your host, Elizabeth Tursunbayeva, and in this series we'll explore the incredible journeys of athletes and mentors who have faced challenges, achieved greatness, and discovered their true strengths along the way. But before we dive into the stories of others, I want to start with my own. This episode is my personal introduction, who I am, where I come from, and what was my journey like in professional sports. Let's begin. I started training when I was just 5 years old, following in my brother's footsteps. He was the perfect fit for figure skating, lean, athletic, and meeting all the sports standards. Naturally, he was accepted into skating section immediately. However, I was a little chubby and they didn't want to accept me. But my mother wouldn't take no for an answer. She made an agreement with the coach that she wouldn't have any complaints about my progress or results. I would simply train for the sake of it. But over time, I started catching up with my peers and even surpassing them. I began to show good results and soon the coaches had high hopes for me. Our daily schedule was crazy now that I'm looking back. My mom took full control of the logistics, making sure we got everywhere on time. She took us to school, and after the second class, she picked us up and took us straight to training. Between school and training, we would eat. She always brought us food, tea in thermoses, and sandwiches. After practice, we would rush to music school where we also had a couple of classes, and after the music school we had another evening training session, and only after that did we have time for homework. My mom didn't just drop us off at practice, she was deeply involved in every aspect of the process. She watched our training, motivated us, and made sure we were always ready. After 6th grade, I started homeschooling and figure skating had completely taken over my life. It became my full-time job from morning to evening. And by the time I was 13, I had already made it to the Russian and Moscow national teams and was preparing to represent the country in international competitions. My parents then decided that I should represent Kazakhstan, and we switched country. My parents then made a decision for me to train in Canada, in Toronto, under Brian Orser, one of the best coaches in the world, and he coached Olympic champions Yuna Kim and Yuzuru Hanyu. And at my first serious competition, international competition, Junior Grand Prix, I won a silver medal for Kazakhstan. I think my mom and I were quite lonely there. The whole family was separated and living in different countries for like 5 years. And all I did was go to training there and compete. I did win quite a few medals. The most important were bronze medal at Youth Olympic Games and Asian Winter Games. Before Olympics in 2018 in Korea, I faced one of my biggest challenges. I wasn't physically ready for the competition due to an injury, and this competition doesn't bring me good memories, and I'm truly sad I couldn't experience this once-in-a-lifetime event fully prepared. But missing an event like the Olympics was simply not an option. I competed and Before that, at the World Championships, I had won an Olympic quota for Kazakhstan, which meant for the first time we had secured 2 spots for female figure skaters at the Games. After the Olympics, we realized that my training process in Canada had come to an end, and we returned to Russia to train with Eteri Tudberidze again. She's one of the greatest coaches in the world, and I remember that as a child, her training sessions were so incredibly difficult for me. When I just joined her team, I had a tough time adapting to the training environment. My feet would ache all the time. I would take a bath in an almost boiling water to shut the pain off. Although I was gaining confidence and consistency in my performances, I gained enough strength to learn difficult jumps, and when I was leaving her, I remember how much I was bothered. I would see her in my dreams. That's not a lie. I don't know why. I felt bad leaving and wanted to stay. But coming back in 2018, I had to adapt once more, but the results didn't take long to show.
For me, such a turnaround from the skater that we saw 3 seasons ago when she first came onto the senior circuit. But goodness me.
Within a year, I achieved something I had never even dreamed of, winning the silver medal at the World Championships, and that was an unbelievable moment for me. And on top of that, I also became the first woman to land a quadruple jump in senior competition, which was an amazing achievement.
Wow.
Boom.
And that's the first time any woman has ever landed a quad jump in senior competition.
Senior competition, yep.
After the first day of the competition, I placed third, and it was already incredible for me, but I remember the night before the free skate, I couldn't sleep well due to jet lag and anxiety. I was so nervous that I cried on the bus on the way to the arena. My mom, she saw it and she was worried too, and I remember during warm-up, I felt that my legs weren't responding the way they usually did, and they were sluggish, lacking sharpness, and since I was the last to skate, the wait felt endless.
This is the lady currently in bronze, and what pressure on the shoulders of Elizabeth Tursunbayeva of Kazakhstan.
In the waiting area, there was a huge TV screen, and even though I didn't want to hear or watch anything, I unintentionally did. And I remember that every competitor before me, they were all giving out clean performances.
It will be interesting to know whether she did know and has watched. I would never want to know what had gone on before me when I was going onto the ice. But it's really, again, a question of what the game plan you have set up with your coach and what your coach says, yeah, go for it, don't go for it, do it. But if it's been working in practice and that quad was so easy at the beginning of the performance.
Before my performance, I was just feeling very tired and anxious, and then seconds before my name was called, Eteri gave me a little slap on the back to wake me up, and it instantly snapped me out of my anxious state. I was ready to do everything I worked on. My mom always watched my performances, was always standing close to the ring, and she felt like she was giving to me all of her energy, like she was transmitting it to me. But this time, for the first time, she was too nervous. She stayed in the changing room and she could hear absolutely everything that was going on the ice. I mean, she could hear people clapping after each element. And she didn't even come out to hear my score and placement. I bet she was praying the way she never did in that changing room. I came back to the changing room, and there she was sitting. She was so red. She asked me what happened, how I did, and I told her that I did everything. I did the quad, I placed second, and she was too shocked to react.
Well done.
A courageous performance from Elizabeth Tursunbayeva of Kazakhstan. She must have seen what had gone before her and thought, I need to bring the big guns here. I'm getting that quad out.
After the World Championships, I came back to Moscow and continued training. And not so long after, I landed another difficult jump at a practice. And we were all aiming for bigger things, bigger results.
That's a game changer. Because everyone else will have to step up now.
Yep.
But in the summer of 2019, I started experiencing serious lower back pain. At first, I thought it was just a normal injury that would go away if I pushed through it, but this was different. I took a few days off. When I came back, my back was still hurting. Then I took a week off. No change. A month passed, the pain was still there, and eventually I went to Germany for an examination, and I was diagnosed with a stress fracture and was told I needed 6 months off, and 6 months turned into 9, and I started feeling anxious. I was thinking like, what if I never fully healed? And I think my back injury gave me some kind of PTSD. I was scared to go back to training. My mother, she encouraged me to try returning to training, and for a while I did, and I skated in a few exhibition shows. I told myself I'll get back into shape, I just need time. And even when I returned to training, I felt that my back would never be the same. I tried pushing through, but deep down I think I was really scared. I was scared of the pressure, scared of failing, and scared of realizing that I might never fully recover. As a professional athlete, you get used to pain. You never feel 100% healthy. There's always something that hurts, and you just train through the pain no matter how bad it is. You take painkillers just to get through practice. But in those last few years, I had been taking the painkillers constantly. Then I started injecting painkillers just to keep going. I don't really know if it's normal. I haven't heard people openly talk about it. Maybe it is normal. At some point, I felt like I couldn't do it anymore, like the painkillers weren't working, and I couldn't push through to get back in the shape that was necessary to compete. So that is when I decided to quit. That brings us to the end of today's episode, and my story is just one of many. And in the episodes to come, we'll explore the journeys of athletes and coaches who have overcome challenges and redefine success on their own terms. If my journey resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you. Follow Through the Ice and Beyond on your favorite podcast platform. Leave a review and connect with me on social media. This is just the beginning. See you next time for another inspiring conversation.